YouTube? Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for BoonBoomger. I want to say 29. It's either 28 or 29, but this week's episode. So this episode I think was not the weakest since we started Arc 3. I think that was probably the clip show one that was mainly a clip show, but I think since the momentum is going, this was a weaker one, but I don't think necessarily bad. In a way, you'll probably hear me mention this in my Gav review if you watch that, but I felt both episodes this week felt similar in the sense that they felt more fillery, not necessarily full filler, but they felt like a good mix of kind of like a of the week adventure, but also keeping the plot going, which is kind of a good thing, because something I've said when talking about this lap is I really do hope that if we get more slice of the week episodes, or slice of the day, or slice of the life, or slice of the pizza, or whatever episodes, I like the idea of still keeping the momentum going. I think that can be valuable, because I'm not against a more episodic series, but I think it's nice when you are feeling like there's movement to the plot, and it doesn't feel like they're completely forgetting it. As there are other Sentai series where when they get into that filler period and they go back to the status quo a bit, they like never even mention anything going on in the background to the point where you could probably skip those episodes. So I like that this felt like a little bit of mix of more kind of classic BoonBoomger stuff, but also continuing the plot and also filling in some plot holes and details. Not plot holes, but just details. Speaking of, we finally got Blue's backstory, kind of expanding on a few little details we knew, and it seems that they were simply waiting because they were waiting for the intrigue about the ISA and how it was involved to fit in, which I guess makes sense. I mean, I don't know if it was anticlimactic, I wasn't like hyping it up as anything big, but I was just curious like why it was taking so long, and it seems it was because of the ISA involvement, as we learned that Blue was initially hired to effectively find out about Boondario when he broke into Taiy's, and he does that classic Toku anime thing, which like, obviously I kind of am used to from watching those things, but in, like, real world practice, it's really stupid where it's like, huh, I like your style, come work for me, even though you could betray me at any instant. You know, it's kind of like when the enemy's getting their ass beat so bad and they're like, I respect you for beating me up. Anyway, it just reminds me a bunch of those RC World or RDC World videos, like parroting anime. If you've never checked out that channel, it's hilarious stuff. Anyway, that's what we set up the backstory of, and he basically seemingly lied to them, to the ISA, about like finding anything and then started working for Taiy. And I do like that they looped it back where Taiy actually knew about what was going on with Blue this episode. I was honestly curious if we were going to go for a betrayal arc or something like that, or find out that Blue was somehow a mole the whole time, and maybe they could still double twist that and it still happens, but I do kind of like that in a way, because part of me was like, there's some potential there, but we already have this arc with Gemba off on his own, and I don't necessarily need that melodrama, and I thought it was a refreshing change of pace to actually have Taiy in on it, and actually show that that friendship is legit and there's not going to be anything. At least I could end up eating crow later, but at least for now it seems that friendship is solid. I was a little bit confused though about, you know, obviously because the ISA knows about everything now, and I was confused, like, did he actually lie to them, or did he tell them and just lie to Taiy about it, and then that's how they found out about it, or did they just find out about everything later? I was a bit confused about that point, but I was mostly happy with the way that turned out, and I was glad to finally get his backstory. I would like to get a little bit more insight into their relationship, as like early on they kind of emphasized how much trust Chashiro had in Taiy, and I feel like him just hiring him because he liked the cut of his jib. I don't know why, I've never used that phrase before, why'd I just use it? Regardless, I feel like that's not enough for me to understand that. It's not something if they never address I'll be upset, but I am curious like what it is about Taiy that Chashiro respected so much. And this week's plot was about Blue and Purple working together. We had Sakito and Chashiro working together. Those kind of rhyme together in a way. And I think this was kind of a fun dynamic. I wasn't that into it that much, if I'm going to be honest. If anything, watching them together and seeing this story unfold made me feel like there was a lot of missed potential here. In general, I'm going to have my broken record point of this series, and one of them is that I still think there was so much missed potential with Sakito's character. I still feel that they folded him into everything too quickly, and he's falling victim to that thing that happens with Six Rangers so often, where after their debut, they just kind of fold into the background, which kind of sucks. But I was thinking this dynamic could have been interesting, because Chashiro even alludes to that his parents were maybe kind of like cleaners or fixers and maybe like in a gray area, and I think that could have been something interesting to explore with this dynamic, especially if Sakito was still kind of more of a gray area character where he wasn't working with them. And I don't know, I just felt like all I thought about with this was the missed potential, but it was fine enough. You know, there were some fun fight scenes with the little like boxing arms and stuff, reminding me of the Magi Ranger boxing weapons they had in that series. I also like that they brought back that family that was trying to get Mira married. It kind of reminded me of bringing back the fiance. I'm actually pleasantly surprised that there's so many little connections to things you probably thought you'd never see again, and it was like connected to them working with the Hash aliens, and they were trying to secure this key that the ISA had, and I like in general that there's moving pieces going, and as Taiy said, we might be facing more than the Hash aliens in the form of the ISA being an enemy, and I'm almost certain that there's going to be some sort of storyline down the road where the Inspector is going to have her loyalties torn between like being, a company man for the ISA and then working with these characters. But obviously with her love of Boondario, there's no way she's not going to choose the characters. Also, with it being Sentai, there's no way she's not going to choose our heroes. So we got a fun new little mech formation. I feel that they've been having a little bit of fun with some of the mixing and matching, which is kind of fun because I never really thought about this series too much as one with the toy line being kind of like Ryu Soldiers where you do like Lego stuff. I mean, we're not Lego stuff, you know what I mean, but where they promote like all the mixing and matching. Maybe that's just me not thinking about that, but I feel like they've been having some fun with the transformations, which is fun. And also we have Genba showing up during the fight with Mad Rex trying to get information, and I'm still happy that we have him on the outs. Like, it's only been like, what, 2 episodes? But I honestly was worried we would wrap it up by now just because of how fast this show will bring back status quo things to normal. And so I'm glad we still have that going on. And also Mad Rex has his memories back seemingly, so that's going to create an interesting dynamic. I always thought that was going to happen. Disgrace said he basically awakened him that way without his memories just so he could be a mindless soldier, but I never thought he was just going to be a henchman. I always thought, like, yeah, this is a perfect storyline for sort of some inner villain conflict, which could be interesting. So yeah, overall, I still enjoyed this episode. I think it was the weakest one out of the last few, but I still am really happy with the momentum we have. We have some classic BoonBoomger antics, but there's still a lot of great intrigue and just finally some really good momentum. And I love the kind of very spy feel of it all. BoonBoomger has this very interesting, unexpected, cool, like retro spy racing vibe, which is just all kinds of fun. But anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.